Discover the incredible journey. Millionaire reveals life-changing rescue of abandoned twin girls. Jack Thompson, a self-made millionaire bursting with success, strides into Willow Creek, his quaint childhood hometown. Memories rush back like a high tide. Backyard barbecues with his family, vibrant 4th of July parades, and the warm laughter of friends fill his mind. He was one of them, a boy who dreamed big under the vast American sky. But as Jack drives down Main Street, hope crumbles. The once vibrant buildings now wear a heavy cloak of abandonment. The bookstore that nurtured his love for words stands empty, and the diner where he savored homemade pie struggles under flickering neon lights. His heart sinks. In the heart of Willow Creek, he finds the community center, dilapidated and peeling, where he discovers Mia and Lily, two abandoned twin girls. They remind him of a time when childhood dreams were brimming with promise. Playing with broken toys in a forgotten corner, their giggles pierce through the despondence. "Hey there," he says, crouching down to their eye level, feeling their youthful energy fill the air. They smile with innocent eyes that had seen more waning hope than they should have at their tender age. Jack feels an unshakable determination rising inside him. "I can't just stand by. These girls deserve a chance," he tells himself. But as he mixes with the townsfolk, his tailored suit feels like a barrier. Their whispers follow him, full of skepticism. Who does he think he is? They murmur, eyes narrowed in doubt. A millionaire from the city, what does he know about our struggles? Their doubt stings, igniting Jack's insecurities. How could he really understand their pain? Days pass, and Jack bonds with Mia and Lily amidst laughter and shared dreams. They dream of becoming artists, of a life beyond the echo of their empty home. The spark in their eyes fuels Jack's passion. Determined to raise awareness and support, he organizes a fundraiser. But the event falls flat. Only a handful of supporters show up, and the gossip around town grows louder, filling the air with ridicule and isolation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as despair grips him, he sees Mia and Lily's resilience spark something in the community. Their laughter and the stories of a man who believes in second chances trickle through the minds of their neighbors. Slowly, hesitation transforms into question, and the walls of prejudice begin to crack. Jack, compelled by their spirit, stands up once more, ready to lead a new charge to help not just the twins, but the spirit of Willow Creek. Then comes a confrontation. An old rival, a shadow from Jack's past, lurks with the intent to sabotage his efforts. The stakes rise, and Jack is faced with a heart-wrenching decision. Will he fight back or prove that kindness can mend even deep-seated rifts? As he stands before the crowd, uncertainty lingers in the air, thick with anticipation. Jack's voice trembles. "I may have changed in many ways, but I still believe that family, whether by blood or by choice, can change our world. Are we willing to take this leap together?" The room lapses into silence, hearts hanging in the balance, hope flickering like the dim light overhead, and the story hangs on the precipice of transformation. Jack's heart raced as the silence stretched. The faces before him, once skeptical, now held a mix of curiosity and something else. Was it hope? He could feel the weight of their breaths, all anticipating his next words. What if we could build a future here? A future for Mia and Lily? The question hung in the air, fragile yet persistent. A rustle broke through the crowd. Mary, the local schoolteacher known for her steel resolve, stepped forward. "I'm with you, Jack," she declared, her voice steady. "We can't let these girls or this town fade away." A ripple of murmurs flowed through the crowd, the tension easing ever so slightly as heads nodded in agreement. Jack felt a surge of encouragement, yet his mind still wrestled with doubt. But how? He thought, staring into the faces of the townsfolk who had known him as just a boy, a nobody with big dreams. How do I prove to them that I want to be part of their fight? He took a deep breath, catching the moment's warmth like a shield. Together, we can organize workshops, create art fairs, and revitalize this community center. Let us use what we have to educate and inspire. The response was electric. Children laughed, and a few adults began clapping. He could see it, a flicker of connection, the potential for something greater. But then, from the back, a voice cut through the camaraderie. You think you can just waltz in here and save us, Jack? It was Kyle, his former rival, a local businessman with a reputation for being ruthless. The crowd simmered. What makes you any different now than you were before? You're just a suit. Jack's heart stuttered. He had faced challenges before, but this was personal. Kyle's glare sparked a burning desire to defend not just his efforts but the very essence of change he envisioned. I'm different because I've seen what's possible when we lift each other up. I'm here to be a part of this community, not just a headline. With sweat trickling down his brow, Jack took a step toward Kyle, locking eyes with him. I can't promise to fix everything overnight, but if we don't start somewhere, we'll never get anywhere. What do you say? Are you willing to join us or remain a part of the problem? The silence returned, but this time it was charged with a palpable tension. Jack could sense the disbelief in the crowd. They were unsure if Kyle would back down or retaliate. Seconds stretched into forever, and Mia and Lily's bright faces flashed in Jack's mind. He thought of their dreams, how all of this was for them. Please, Vanessa, a shy girl from school, piped up. We need change. Something cracked in the air. Slowly, a few more voices rose in agreement. Yes, let us do it. Kyle's face turned an unhappy shade of red, but Jack noticed a flash of uncertainty. Perhaps the community's support would sway him to reconsider. Still, Jack realized it wouldn't be easy. The battle lines were drawn, but change was often messy. Sparked by the children's laughter and the voices uniting, Jack felt ignited, ready to weather whatever came next. As the meeting drew to a close, Jack turned to Mia and Lily. This is just the beginning, girls. Will you keep dreaming with me? Their smiles fueled him, giving him the strength he needed. But a chill ran down his spine as he noticed a figure lurking in the distance, watching him intently. A shadowy presence that hinted at unresolved chaos. Just when he thought he had started to turn the tide, the last words felt like a bolt. What if Kyle isn't the only one who wants to see you fail? The question echoed in his mind as Jack stood in that hall. Surrounded by uncertainty, was he truly ready for the storm that was coming? The hall buzzed with newfound energy as people began to disperse, chatting excitedly about the possibilities Jack had ignited. But he remained rooted in place, the weight of the lurking figure still gnawing at him. He glanced back over his shoulder, but whoever had been watching was gone, swallowed by the night. Jack, come on, let us celebrate. Mary's voice broke through his thoughts as she beckoned him over to a small group chatting animatedly in a corner. He forced a smile, but the chill in his bones wouldn't shake off easily. Are you okay? Mia asked, her big eyes searching his. You look worried. It's nothing I can't handle, he replied, tousling her hair. Yet deep down, the unease churned like a storm in his stomach. The community center was filling with laughter and voices, each person weaving back their concerns to focus on hope. Children twirled and played, while adults exchanged ideas for upcoming events. Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging, even with the darkness lurking on the edges of his thoughts. But Kyle's words echoed in his mind about being a suit, about not being one of them. Could he truly prove himself? What if there were more like Kyle ready to pounce at the first sign of failure? Jack, over here, a voice called. It was Kyle, standing just outside the crowd, arms crossed and his expression unreadable. Jack's heart raced again, but this time it was a different kind of adrenaline. Maybe he needed to confront Kyle, maybe that was what he needed to prove himself. With every step toward his former rival, Jack could feel the eyes of the community on him. They were watching, waiting. With Kyle's history of tearing down everything he didn't agree with, there was a palpable risk. Do you want to talk? He asked evenly, his heart pounding in anticipation. "What's there to talk about, Jack?" Cal replied, his tone dismissive. "You're just stirring the pot and making promises you can't keep." Jack fought to keep his voice steady. "I'm here to help, not to fight. I'm hoping for the best for this town, for Mia and Lily. Can't you see that?" For a fleeting moment, Jack saw something shift in Kyle's expression. A flash of doubt, perhaps, or something softer that he quickly masked. "Just be careful, Jack," Kyle warned, his voice low, dark. "You're in over your head." Jack stood there, feeling the weight of Kyle's warning crashing over him. But instead of the crushing blow he expected, a flicker of determination rose. "This is about the future, not just mine. If you can't see that, then you'll just be another obstacle." The words felt bold and empowering, sending a rush through Jack. He turned on his heel and rejoined the crowd, where laughter filled the air like music. Was it naive to believe that change was possible? To hope? But just as the momentum built between him and the townsfolk, a commotion erupted at the door. A few locals gasped. Jack turned, horror flooding through him as he realized the figure from before, now stepping into the hall, was dressed in dark clothes. With an unyielding gaze, they pinpointed Jack from across the room. "What do you want?" someone shouted. But the air thickened with tension and uncertainty as Jack took a step closer. The figure smirked, revealing a sharp grin that sent shivers racing down Jack's spine. "Just wanted to drop by and see what all the fuss was about." Suddenly, Jack knew this person was more than just an unwelcome guest. This was the wild card, the chaos he felt stirring. And at that moment, he realized the battle had just begun. What was this stranger's role in all of it? "Are you ready for what's coming, Jack?" the figure drawled, their tone dripping with menace. The question lingered like a storm cloud overhead as Jack stood frozen, bracing for the confrontation that awaited him. The figure's smirk deepened, as if they could see the thoughts clashing within Jack's mind. He steadied his breathing, but the buzz of excitement and laughter around him dimmed like a flickering bulb. Every eye in the room turned to them, the air tightening with uncertainty, like a bowstring drawn taut. "Who are you?" Jack managed to say, his voice more defiant than he felt. The figure took a slow step forward, their silhouette shifting against the orange glow of the hall lights. "Just a friend," they replied, their voice smooth, like honey laced with poison. "But tonight I'm more like a messenger." Jack clenched his fists. A messenger of what? Fear? Confusion? Of change? The figure retorted, their grin unwavering. "This town's about to wake up from its slumber, Jack. You might want to keep your eyes wide open." A murmur of unease rippled through the crowd. Whispers floated around him like dry leaves in the wind. Faces in the crowd became a blur. All he could focus on was the ominous figure in front of him. "People are excited about the future," Jack said, trying to inject strength into his words. "We're making progress." The figure chuckled, a low, chilling sound that pulled the warmth from the room. "Progress? You think a spark of enthusiasm changes the reality lurking beneath the surface?" The smirk faded slightly as their gaze sharpened. "When things begin to shift, they don't always turn out the way you want." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. He exchanged worried glances with Mary and Mia. Their trust in him was palpable, and he knew he had to stand firm, not just for himself but for them. "What do you want from me?" Let's just say I want to see how far you'll go for your beloved community," they said, their eyes glinting with mischief. "You've stirred the pot, Jack. Now you need to keep it from boiling over." As if on cue, the lights flickered, and a shadow moved in the corner of Jack's vision. His instincts kicked in. "You won't scare us away," he declared, more assured than he felt. The strain in his voice betrayed his growing fear of what lay ahead. "Scare? Oh no, Jack. That is not my intent. Just keep your friends close, and your enemies closer," the figure replied, their voice slithering through the room like smoke. The Real Games haven't even begun. With that, they turned slowly, retreating toward the exit, leaving the tension hanging in the air like a weight. The crowd seemed frozen, caught between curiosity and dread. Jack's heart raced, the pulse echoing in his ears. He turned to Mary and Mia, who were looking up at him, their expressions a mixture of worry and confusion. "Are you all right?" Mia asked, her small hand gripping Jack's tightly. "I will be," he replied, forcing a smile. But inside, doubts churned. Could he truly protect them from whatever this figure represented? "You have to let them know not to fear," Mary said, placing a hand on his arm, grounding him. "You're the leader they need." Jack nodded, but the truth hung heavy. He wanted to believe he had the strength to face whatever was coming, but the darker corners of his mind whispered otherwise. Just as he opened his mouth to rally the group, a loud crash echoed from the back of the hall. The sound of shattering glass sent shockwaves through the crowd. People jumped back, gasps echoing throughout the space. Jack's heart raced once more as he turned to face the noise. "Stay together," he shouted, trying to project calm through the chaos. What now? What was about to unfold? Every instinct screamed that the night was far from over, and the real challenge was just around the corner. Would he be able to lead them through the storm brewing on the horizon? The crash reverberated off the walls, a jarring reminder that danger lurked beyond the flickering lights and festive noise. Jack's heart raced as the crowd surged, a sea of frightened faces searching for safety. He could hear frantic whispers, questions about what had just happened and who might be behind it. "Mia, Mary," he called out, his voice cracking through the chaos. "Stay close." They nodded, fear etched on their faces, but determination sparked in their eyes. Jack felt a swell of protective instinct and pushed through the throng, guiding them toward the back of the hall where the crash had sounded. He scanned the shadows, trying to make sense of it all. "What do you think it was?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling. "Not sure," Jack replied, forcing a calmness he didn't feel. "But we need to find out." As they edged closer, the broken glass glimmered like shards of ice on the floor. Jack's gut twisted. Something wasn't right. Just then, he noticed a figure silhouetted in the wreckage, a tall, dark shape looming over something on the ground. Jack stepped forward, pulling Mia and Mary behind him. "Hey!" Jack shouted, his voice authoritative, cutting through the murmurs. The figure turned. It was the same person who had confronted him earlier, their grin wider now, venomous and mocking. "Surprised to see me, Jack? What do you want?" Jack demanded, fists clenched. "Just dropping a hint," they replied, stepping fully into the low light. Their clothes, tattered and muddied, seemed to ripple in the dim light. They pointed toward the chaos they had created. "Sometimes, to reveal the truth, you need to shake things up. And this town needs a good shake." Jack's pulse pounded in his ears. "You don't scare me. What are you trying to prove?" The figure leaned closer, their breath warm against the chill of the air. "You're braver than I thought. But remember, bravery can lead to mistakes." Jack felt a chill crawl up his spine, more potent than before. It was as if the figure could see into his thoughts, knew his fears. Just then, someone from the crowd yelled, "What is going on?" The energy in the hall shifted. People began to gather around, drawn by the drama unfolding. "Listen up," Jack shouted to the crowd, his heart pounding. "Stay calm. We're okay." But his voice was barely heard over the rising panic as more people turned to watch. The figure's smirk deepened. "See? Chaos is brewing beautifully, Jack. All thanks to you. Are you ready to play your role?" "No," Jack shouted, refusing to back down. "I won to be part of your games." With a sudden flick of the figure's wrist, something metallic glinted in the fading light, a crowbar. Jack's heart dropped. The crowd gasped, faces paling. "Congratulations, you've got my attention," Jack said, his breath catching. He lifted his chin, trying to show strength amidst growing fear. "But I won't let you hurt anyone." "Oh, Jack," the figure cooed, stepping back effortlessly into the shadows. "You might want to rethink that. The night is young, and I have plans for you. After all, the first move is always the most dangerous." With that, they vanished into the gloom, leaving a stunned silence hanging in the air. The tension thickened, a living thing pressing down on Jack's chest. He looked around at the worried faces of the community he loved, people counting on him. "Jack?" Mary whispered, her grip tightening around his arm. He turned to her, forcing a brave smile even as doubt gnawed at him. What kind of change was this figure talking about? And how far were they willing to go to push it? The sound of footsteps echoed in the distance, signaling that more chaos was on its way. Jack could feel the weight of impending disaster creeping closer. In a town divided between hope and fear, what would he do to protect his friends? Just as he opened his mouth again, the doors to the hall swung wide open, and a group of figures in dark clothing strode inside. The mood shifted, anticipation filling the air. What was coming next? The entrance was a scene out of a nightmare. The group of figures, tall and foreboding, cut through the dim light like shadows come to life. Their movements were synchronized, each step echoing a collective threat. Jack instinctively stepped in front of Mia and Mary, his heart hammering in his chest. "Everyone stay back," he shouted, his voice cracking under the weight of fear and urgency. The crowd, now pulsating with tension, shifted as people exchanged nervous glances. Whispers filled the air, a low murmur of disbelief mingling with dread. Jack could feel the eyes on him, all seeking reassurance that he couldn't quite muster. "Jack," Mia said, her voice barely audible. "What do we do?" He opened his mouth to respond, but the heavy footsteps drew closer, the figures finally emerging into the hall's light. Each wore a dark coat that blended into the shadows, like raiders from a tale of old. Their faces were partially hidden, but the glint of menace was unmistakable. "Move it, kid," one of them snarled at Jack, pushing him aside with a force that sent him stumbling. Jack regained his footing, fury flaring up inside him. How dare they disrespect him and his friends? "Don't touch her," Jack shouted, feeling the energy of the crowd shift into a tide of anxiety and hostility. He stood firm, adrenaline coursing through him. The first dark figure, taller than the rest, stepped forward. "We're not here to play," they said, their voice calm yet chilling. "We're here to deliver a message." "What message?" Jack asked, his heart racing. The figure moved closer, the light catching the edge of a familiar emblem on their jacket, the same emblem he had seen before, marked on the fence behind his house. "Change is coming, Jack. Whether you want it or not. Why are you doing this?" Jack pressed, confusion mingling with anger. "What do you want with us?" Before the figure could respond, another member of the group stepped out of the shadows. "What we want is exactly what you've already got. Hope, inspiration, a chance at something better. But you're all too blind to see it. I'd rather take my chances than listen to your twisted sense of better." Jack shot back, feeling the weight of every eye in the room upon him. A sharp laugh pierced the air. "Oh, you have no idea what's in store for you. This town is ripe for change, and those who resist will find themselves uncomfortable." That word hung ominously in the air, a harbinger of threat. A murmur rippled through the crowd, swells of panic as people processed the implications of those that were gathering against them. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him, the trust of his friends hanging in the balance. "Is this what it's come to?" he said, taking a deep breath to steady himself, unwilling to show fear. "Threats and intimidation? Just a preview of what's to come, Jack," the first figure said smoothly. "You have a role in this whether you choose to accept it or not. But perhaps you need a little more motivation." The crowd gasped collectively as the figure brandished the crowbar, the metallic gleam sharp under the hall's uncertain lights. Jack's back straightened, tension coiling within him. He wouldn't let them intimidate him any longer. "Back off," Jack shouted, stepping forward again, fists clenched. "You think you can scare us? We're not afraid of you or your games." Around him, the group seemed to hesitate. Jack could see fear in the eyes of Mia and Mary, the energy in the room thickening with apprehension. Taking in a shaky breath, he took a bold stance. "If you want change, then let us talk about it. You can't intimidate us into submission." The lead figure raised an eyebrow, surprised by Jack's defiance. "Brave words, but you may regret them sooner than you think." With that, they turned toward the exit, motioning for the others to follow. The crowd was still, as if holding its breath, caught between hope and fear. Jack felt the tension, the pulse of uncertainty throbbing around him. But he knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. As the figures left, a lingering sensation of dread settled in their wake. The doors slammed shut with finality behind them, echoing through the hall. Jack felt the weight of his friends' eyes on him, their silent questions lingering in the air. "What now?" Mary whispered, her voice shaky. Jack looked around at the crowd, the fear and confusion palpable. There would be no easy road ahead. The shadows had just begun to loom. "We prepare," Jack said, clenching his fists tighter. "Because whatever they're planning, they'll have to face us first." And just as those words left his lips, a sudden crash echoed outside, shaking the very foundation of the hall. What now? What more could possibly happen to turn this night upside down again? The crash reverberated through the hall like a gunshot. Jack's heart raced, 1,000 scenarios flashing through his mind. Every nerve in his body screamed that something dreadful awaited them just outside those doors. "Stay close," he urged, his protective instincts kicking in again. Mia and Mary huddled beside him, their eyes wide with fear, taking comfort in Jack's presence. "Should we check it out?" Mia asked, glancing nervously at the exit as another thud echoed, louder this time. The crowd around them buzzed with anxiety, and Jack could feel a restless energy buzzing within the room. Fingers gripped arms and whispered conversations swirled in confusion. "No way," Jack said firmly. "We need to regroup, come up with a plan. Whatever it is out there, it's not friendly." The door shook violently as if something were pushing against it from the outside. A few members of the crowd exchanged worried glances, doubt slipping in as fear took hold. Jack could see it in their eyes, the panic bubbling just beneath the surface. He knew they were all thinking the same thing. What if they attacked? "Come on, we can't just stand here," someone shouted from the back, their voice trembling. "We need to do something." Jack felt anger flare up at the suggestion. "What good does that do?" He shot back. "Let us not give in to fear. We need to stand together." The tension in the hall shifted again, the crowd flickering between fear and determination. Jack stepped forward, raising his voice to rally them. "They want us to panic. They want us divided. But we are stronger together. Let us figure this out as a team." Mia met his gaze, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes, and he felt a rush of hope. If they could just hold it together a little longer, they could face whatever came next. Just then, a loud bang made the door splinter, sending fresh waves of panic surging through the crowd. Loud grunts were heard from the other side, growing increasingly relentless. Jack clenched his fists. They had an unseen adversary testing the limits of their courage. "Jack!" Mary cried, grabbing his arm, terror etched across her face. "What if they enough?" Jack interrupted, the urgency of the moment crashing over him with weight. "We fight together or we don't fight at all." Suddenly, the door crashed open, splintered wood flying through the air. A figure staggered inside, silhouetted against the dim light. It was one of the dark-coated figures, breathing heavily, face half hidden by a hood. "Help!" the figure shouted, struggling to keep their balance. "They're coming. We have to go." The crowd gasped collectively, confusion washing over the room. Jack exchanged glances with Mia and Mary. Was this a trick? Were they being set up for an ambush? "Who are you?" Jack shouted back, tension winding tighter in his chest. The figure raised their hands in the air as if to demonstrate they meant no harm. "I'm not one of them. Please just listen. They're coming for all of you. You don't understand what they really want." Jack's resolve faltered for just a moment, the fear of the unexpected washing over him. He wanted to trust, to believe that an ally had appeared, but the darker shadows still lay thick around them. Everyone in the room looked between Jack and the figure, apprehensive and uncertain. "Tell us what they want," Jack demanded, stepping closer, the crowd inching along with him. "I can't explain now, just know that we're all in danger," the figure panted, terror flashing across their face. "If you don't leave now, it may be too late." "What do we do?" Mia breathed, gripping Jack's arm tightly. Jack paused, heart racing, caught between the fear of the unknown and the instinct to protect his friends. As he stood there, doubt gnawed at his insides. Was this a warning or part of the game? But one thing clutched at him fiercely: he wouldn't let fear win. Before he could give an answer, another loud crash echoed outside, shaking the very walls around them. Time was running out, and Jack had to make a decision. He looked at the frightened faces of his friends and the crowd behind him. We need a plan, and we need it fast. Could they escape? Or would they find themselves trapped in the darkness that seemed to close in around them? The air felt electric, crackling with fear as Jack tried to make sense of the chaos unfolding around him. The figure before them took a shaky step forward, urgency dripping from every word. Jack could see their panic, their wide, frightened eyes. He had to suppress the instinct to back away, to shrink from the danger that seemed to loom on the horizon. "Listen, we don't have much time," the figure implored, scanning the room as if expecting shadows to leap from the corners. "You're not safe here. They'll find you if you stay." Jack's heart thudded loudly in his chest, a wild rhythm against the backdrop of the crowd's anxious whispers. He knew they were all listening, all waiting for him to take charge. But with the stakes higher than ever, doubt crept in again. Was this person trustworthy? Were the threats real, or just the shadows of his own fears? "Who are you?" he asked again, desperate for answers but not wanting to show his vulnerability. "I'm Aiden," the figure said, their voice a mix of desperation and fierce determination. "I've seen what they can do. We have to go now. They won't stop until they get what they want." Jack exchanged glances with Mia and Mary. He could see the flicker of hope in Mia's eyes, but Mary's gaze was filled with uncertainty. "What do you mean, Aiden? What do they want?" "Their mission isn't just about fear. It's about power, control. They want to make an example of you. You were all chosen because you possess something they desperately crave." Aiden hesitated, their gaze darting to the door as another thud sounded from outside, more insistent than the last. "But I can't explain everything here. There's no time." The crowd began to murmur again, as whispers of "what do we do?" echoed around the hall. An overwhelming sense of dread flooded Jack. He couldn't let fear dictate their choices. He felt Mia squeeze his hand tighter. Her warmth reminded him that they were in this together. "Okay," Jack said, grounding himself. "We're not going to run in blind. Aiden, if we do this, you need to tell us everything. We need to know who we're dealing with and what we're up against." Aiden nodded vigorously. "Promise, but we have to move." "Now, move where?" Mary interrupted, fear leaking into her words. The whole room fell silent. Every eye trained on Jack. He inhaled sharply, then exhaled slowly as his mind raced through the possibilities. He imagined the cherry blossoms of the nearby park, the lush green grass beckoning. "There's a place, a safe house at the edge of town. If we can get there, are you crazy?" someone yelled from the back. "We can't just walk into the streets like nothing's happening." Jack raised his voice. "We can't stay here either. We need a plan and we need to move. Aiden can lead us. If we stick together, we have a better chance." A ripple of unease radiated throughout the crowd. Jack scanned their faces and saw fear, doubt, but also a spark of determination, the kind needed to face the unknown. "Who's with me?" he called out. One by one, hands began to rise, forming a collective strength amidst the uncertainty. "Let us go," Mia shouted, her voice cutting through the confusion, igniting a spark of courage. Taking a deep breath, Jack turned to Aiden. "Lead the way. We trust you." Aiden nodded, relief washing over their features. Just as they began to move, another ferocious crash shook the entrance, splintering more wood and sending the crowd inching back in panic. Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. There was no turning back now. As Aiden moved toward the door, Jack could hear his heart pounding in his ears, each beat echoing the urgency of the moment. Could they truly outrun the darkness waiting outside? And was it already too late? With one last look at those he cared about, Jack took a step toward the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as they pushed through the doorway, a chilling voice pierced the air from behind them. "You can't escape us." Jack's heart sank as fear clawed through his chest. What had they just walked into? The crowd surged into the narrow alley beside the building, bodies brushing against one another, urgency driving them forward. Jack felt the weight of the moment pressing down, the stakes growing with every hurried step. Aiden led the way, darting left and right, searching for safe passage away from the chaos. Jack's senses were heightened. Every sound sharp and clear, muffled footsteps, distant shouts, the ominous creaking from the building they had just left. Mia remained close to Jack, her fingers intertwined with his, a lifeline in the storm swirling around them. He could sense her fear but also her courage, a determination that burned bright even in the shadows closing in around them. "Where now?" Jack whispered to Aiden as they turned a corner, hoping to put some distance between themselves and the danger behind. Aiden's expression was intense, eyes scanning the streets, the pulse of the city a stark contrast to the eerie quiet of moments ago. Their essay back entrance to the safe house just ahead. "We have to hurry," Aiden urged, increasing their pace. But as they moved deeper into the maze of alleyways, Jack felt the air shift. It was not just the absence of noise that unsettled him, it was the icy chill that seemed to creep into his bones. A sudden realization struck him. They were being hunted. The thrill of the chase thrummed beneath his skin, and he fought against the rising panic. They rounded another corner, and Jack froze. Ahead, shadows twisted and merged. Figures loomed, emerging from the darkness with an unsettling confidence. They were everywhere, closing in. Jack's heart thundered as he turned back towards Aiden, panic dancing in his chest. "We can't go that way. They're blocking the exit," he yelled, urgency weaving into every word. Aiden's brow furrowed, but before they could process the situation, a figure stepped forward from the shadows, a menacing smile curving across their lips. "Did you really think you could escape?" They laughed softly, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Jack's spine. "Who are you?" Jack demanded, his voice ringing with defiance despite the fear clawing at him. The figure only chuckled, shaking their head almost sadly. "Just a friend who knows what happens to those who try to run." "You belong to us now," they said, eyes glinting with a predatory hunger. In that moment, Jack felt a wave of anger rise within him, cutting through his fear. "We're not yours," he declared, feeling the surge of protectiveness for Mia and Mary, for everyone they had gathered. "We're not afraid of you." Around him, he could hear Mia's intake of breath, the slight tremble in Mary's voice as she muttered something about hope. But the laughter only grew louder, echoing through the narrow alley. "Brave words, but you're about to learn just how powerless you are," the figure sneered. As they stepped closer, Jack saw something glinting in their hands, a glimmer of steel, a weapon. The world around them seemed to slow as the tension snapped like a taut wire. Aiden's voice cut through the darkness suddenly. "Back, everyone back." The urgency propelled everyone into action. They turned, desperate to flee back into the maze of alleys as behind them, the laughter shifted to shouts of anger. Jack felt the adrenaline course through him. They had to run, had to find safety, but what did that even mean now? His mind raced along with his feet. How could they possibly escape the grip of danger that now felt so inevitable? Suddenly, a hand shot out, grabbing Jack's arm and yanking him off course. "This way," Aiden urged, pulling him toward a small door hidden between two crates. He didn't hesitate. With a single glance at Mia and Mary, he dove in after Aiden, hope colliding with fear in a visceral dance as they stumbled into the dark. But as the door slammed shut behind them, the weight of imminent danger loomed larger. Were they truly safe, or had they just stepped deeper into a trap? Jack's breath came in quick bursts, panic threatening to bubble over. "What now?" he murmured into the darkness. Aiden paused, catching his breath as uncertainty flickered across their face. "Now we find out just how deep the rabbit hole goes." Those words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken fears and the weight of choices yet to be made. Was the safe house a refuge, or would it become their next danger? Jack swallowed hard, heart racing, thoughts spiraling. What awaited them in this unknown place? Jack's heart pounded in the confined space, every breath heavy with anticipation. The darkness pressed in around them, shadows dancing along the walls. Aiden glanced around, urgency electrifying the air. "We need to get to the basement. It's safer down there," they said, their voice low but firm. "Safer from what?" Jack shot back, fear edging his voice. "What did you mean when you said we belong to them?" Aiden hesitated, scanning the dim room as if the walls themselves might spill secrets. "They want to control those who stand out, those who inspire. You and your friends are targets because you represent hope. They need to quash that. Hope?" Their words smoldered like a flame amid doubt. Jack felt Mia's small hand squeeze his tightly, grounding him in the face of uncertainty. "Look, we can't just sit here," he urged, keeping his voice steady. "Let us get this over with. Take us to the basement." Aiden nodded, a flicker of appreciation crossing their face. "Follow me." The trio maneuvered through the dark corridors, their footsteps muffled against the cold floor. Jack's thoughts raced. How could they fight back against something so nebulous? But one thing was clear. They couldn't afford to let fear dictate their next move. He had to be the anchor, the beacon of resolve the girls needed. They arrived at a heavy door that creaked open into an even darker room. Aiden gestured for them to step inside. "Stay here for now. I'll check the perimeter." Jack watched as Aiden slipped into the shadows, feeling the weight of uncertainty cling to him. He turned to Mia and Mary, their faces pale with dread but resolute. "We're going to get through this," he promised, voice steadying. "What if they find us?" Mia whispered, wide-eyed. "What if they do?" Jack responded more forcefully than he intended, pacing slightly. "We have each other. We fight for us, for Willow Creek, for everyone who believes in something better." Mary stepped closer, her expression fierce. "And maybe for Aiden. They're risking everything, Jack." Just then, the door creaked open, and Aiden slipped back inside. "It's clear for now, but we need to act fast. I overheard them talking their essay plan to undermine your efforts, to make an example of you in front of the community and the children. If we don't move, we'll be vulnerable." Jack felt the walls closing in, the stakes rising with Aiden's words. "What do you suggest?" "We need to gather the community, warn them, have them rally together," Aiden urged, a fire igniting in their eyes. "If they see you're not afraid to stand up for what you believe in, it could change everything." "Change everything," Jack echoed, a heartbeat of realization landing within him. When had he been so focused on the shadows of fear that he had forgotten about the light? "You're right. This is about more than me, more than us. It's what we can build together." Aiden nodded, determination flashing in their eyes. "We'll need allies, people who can support our cause." "Then let us do it," Jack said, clenching his fists. "Let us show them we're not scared." As they made their way back through the labyrinth of shadows, Jack felt energized. He envisioned the town square, bustling with life, the laughter of children, the warmth of community, and the spirit of hope that's been stifled for too long. Once outside, he turned to Aiden, Mia, and Mary. "No matter what happens, we stick together. We fight for each other and for this town." With adrenaline coursing through him, he stepped into the light of the street. Voices murmured in the distance as they passed a few familiar faces who regarded them with a mix of confusion and concern. "Jack?" one local called, baffled. "What's going on?" He raised his voice, feeling the surge of confidence. "We need your help." The urgency echoed through the street. "Willow Creek is in danger, but together we can protect our home. Will you stand with us?" Faces turned towards him, a murmur of disbelief rippling through the crowd. But Jack pressed on, the fire in his chest roaring brighter. "This isn't just about me or my fight. It's about all of us, a chance for a future free from fear. Are you with me?" A few hesitant voices chimed in agreement, then more chimed in, growing. "Yeah, we are. Let us do it." Across the crowd, Jack spotted Mary. Her eyes sparkled with conviction. "You were never just a suit, Jack," she called out, and smiles bloomed, uncertainty fading as their gathering transformed into a swelling tide of support. "That's right," Aiden added, stepping beside him. "Change is on the horizon. We have the power to shape it." More people joined, rising up against doubt, standing tall together, gripping hearts with threads of unity. The shadows still lingered, and the threat was real. But at that moment, hope ignited a fire that could not be extinguished. They were a community reborn, fueled by the understanding that they were stronger together. As the crowd surged around him, buoyed by their collective spirit, Jack felt an overwhelming wave of emotion. "I won't let you down," he shouted. "We fight for our dreams, our home, and each other." Cheers erupted in response, powerful enough to shake the very foundations of despair. And for the first time since he stepped foot in Willow Creek, Jack felt at home, a purpose coursing through him and igniting the path ahead. They were ready to face whatever came next. It's time to take action. You need to subscribe now. Hit that bell for all notifications so you won't miss any of our exclusive stories. If you felt inspired, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from true fans. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what makes this community grow.